Okay, so it's now my pleasure to introduce our next panel, led by Kathy McCabe. It's really been a lot of fun to work with Kathy and help organize this panel. She's put a lot of time and energy into it, and for those of you who don't know Kathy, she practices in Florida, expert in our field of both cataract and refractive, and a principal investigator in many clinical studies. Is she behind me right now? And so she's going to take our next industry spotlight to the next level, and thank you, Kathy, for doing this. Thank you. Thank you. Good luck, group.
So first I want to thank Jim and Eric for inviting me to be a part of this program. It's very exciting. And the entire program has really been invigorating and energizing. As Tim Mitra said, you know, this is a group of innovators, they are collaborators. We take challenges and we meet them head on, and we pivot with always the patient as that central pivot point. So this has been a challenging year last year, and what I'd like to do is first have this panel introduce themselves, maybe take a minute to do that, and then talk also about some of the positives coming out of COVID. We have a lot of money in the market, or money in the system, as we've heard today. There are new markets being developed and new technology coming out. So talk about the positives and what you see lasting from this past year.
Well, thanks, Kathy, for the introduction. And Jack Dosanjh, I look after Allergan, our eye care business. And well, obviously, as you said, lots of things happened last year as related to COVID. In our business, we different sort of lines, really. So, and they all actually behave very differently. So the prescription business actually was relatively unscathed, actually, during COVID, so people could get prescriptions. But obviously, our devices and procedures business was hit pretty significantly. Our OTC business actually did pretty well because people still went to the pharmacies. I think and our retina business actually obviously also was hit because of procedures as well. So there was just ebbs and flows, and there's no doubt what it left us. It all made us think a little harder about actually how do we sort of work out of this. And I think what we've seen this year is obviously a rebound happening, but also ways of how we can actually be quite positive about what we're looking forward to. And I think the most important thing I think we see is the return of the patients, but also all the macro demographics we've talked about today already, which is there are patients who are, the unmet needs are significant in all these areas, whether it's dry eye, whether it's in glaucoma or retinal diseases. And as a result of that, they need the best treatments and they need to sort of keep moving forwards. And I think when you look at those macro drivers that we have, what we've got to make sure is, are we mobilizing effectively against that? And I think we can see a lot of the things we've been doing on the consumer activation side to sort of get patients back in has been hugely successful for us in a lot of our businesses. And I think as we look forward to some other things we've got coming forward in the refractive space, I think we're very excited about what that could do. And obviously that's obviously a huge opportunity in terms of the numbers of patients who are affected by presbyopia. So,
thank you. Joe.
Thank you, Kathy. Joe Papa, I'm the chairman and CEO of Bausch Health, which obviously includes our Bausch & Lomb legacy eye health business. I think COVID had a lot of things that happened to us. I think the first and foremost comments I would say is that it was a clear reminder to expect the unexpected and trying to make sure that we could deal with all the challenges that came forth with COVID. But I also think it taught us a lot and things that it will leave with us is the ability to be very flexible in how you are approaching the different challenges that we faced. And what do I mean by that? Some of the things that we had to revisit last year was the ability to make sure that our products continued to be available in the marketplace, given some of the challenges that occurred with the supply chain and making sure product was available and making sure we were meeting the needs of all the patients out there and all of the physicians out there. So I think we had to learn and relearn some new techniques on things that you can do virtually that you did not do in person. Obviously, it's great to be here in person once again for a meeting, but last year was a tough one in that sense. And then probably the final area that was for us a learning, but I think a very important one, was focus and focusing on the things that we could ensure that we would do most importantly out there. And for us, one of the decisions that came through COVID, not because of COVID, but because of the focus, was the decision to spin out the Bausch & Lomb franchise out of the Bausch Health business, which we felt was an important focus, that we had a great business legacy, 168-year-old company that we could take out as a separate public company and give us that focus.
Thanks so much, Joe. Warren.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. Thanks for moderating this, and thanks to Eyecelerator for having us. My name is Warren Foust. I'm the worldwide president for Johnson & Johnson Surgical Vision. And listen, I think COVID made us rethink everything, frankly. How we engage with our employees, how we engage with our customers. It gave us a chance in particular to go and do some much needed work to get focused on our portfolio, very similar to what Joe and Jack shared. We had a lot of things coming, and it wasn't exactly clear to our customers. And so we took a lot of care to get a lot of feedback from customers, engaging in a different way through Zoom, virtually. Our field representatives, our R&D folks, they never stopped. They kept going to the offices. They kept spending time with customers. But we wanted to make sure that we could work with our customers so that they could continue to deliver a safe environment for their patients. So we tried to help where we could there. That will carry on into the future. The way we will engage with surgeons and with staff to inform us on what we need to do, that will carry on into the future. So I think that's a positive thing. And it's paying dividends for us, as now we have very clearly, we have 3 product launches this year in the United States, which is amazing for Johnson & Johnson Surgical Vision. So I think we're seeing the benefit of those connectivity points helping inform us for the future. So proud about that.
Great, thanks, Warren. Caren, tell us a little.
I'm Caren Mason, President and CEO of STAAR Surgical. As the other panelists have said, last year was a year of learning, a year of exploring for new ideas and ways to combat basically shadowing the pandemic, but at the same time trying to make sure that we were supporting surgeons around the world and their patients to be able to provide visual freedom in the worst of times. And from a refractive surgeon's point of view, what we found out is that there was an unbelievable desire to be able to serve their patients as soon as possible when it was safe. And so as a result of that, everything that we did at STAAR was really focused around helping the surgeons get restarted with either programs or promotions that were very valuable. At the same time, making sure, like Joe said, that we were able to meet the demands that we knew would be coming and getting greater. And currently, as we've seen in the marketplace, we have, I think, a new recognition amongst patients that visual freedom is not only something that would be terrific to be able to embrace, but in many cases, a necessity, for example, with frontline healthcare workers, for them to be able to do their job better without any type of difficulty related to perhaps other visual care items, such as contacts and glasses. So I think going forward, we can expect a lot more interest from the patient and a lot more discussion amongst them in terms of the way they really now value spending appropriately to get visual freedom.
Thanks so much. I have some individual questions for you as well, and we're just going to go down the road again. So, Jag, you had a pretty interesting last year. So Allergan was acquired by AbbVie in the worst of times. Who knew, right? We thought 2020 was going to be this great vision year. Instead, it was the most challenging year. And that happened in May. And so how's that transition been, and the transition combined with COVID?
Yeah,
how's that going?
COVID was the second priority last year. No, just kidding. We obviously, when COVID happened and the shutdown happened in March, and then the acquisition closed in May, the irony actually was that we're all available 24/7 on Zoom, and so actually we got a lot of things done, believe it or not. The difference was the vast majority of people didn't get a chance to meet each other, and so you learn a lot of things about what you can do in certain situations, and we learned a lot about how you can obviously operate a business in a new setting, a new environment. But I think more importantly, strategically, it was a huge boom for the eye care businesses. And one of the key things that came out of it was actually keeping the name Allergan, and obviously framed as Allergan and AbbVie company because of the strong heritage that we have, and also the relationships and the products that we have, and the tenure in the marketplace. So that was a really important element of the integration. I think also the second thing is this access to resources, and that has become very clear. We've invested probably 20-30% more commercially in 2020 than we did previously. And also, I would say in R&D, we'll begin to invest more as well, and obviously looking at building our business over the long term. So I think strategically it was well positioned for the Allergan business to go forward with a more strategic sort of framework and access to resources, but with that heritage and relationships that we pride ourselves on, and obviously the products that we have in the marketplace. And so as a result of that, we had a very successful 2020, and we've started off very strongly in 2021 as well. And I think that bodes well for the future, not just with our current franchise, but also, as I said, building on the dry eye, glaucoma, retina, and obviously our refractive franchise moving forward. I think it's looking very, very rosy.
Yeah, you had to build that culture without even seeing people face to face. That's a little bit tough, but you got through it okay, huh?
We tried our best.
And Joe, you touched on this already, but the spin-out is coming quickly, and it's interesting to think that you're going to be, what's old is new again for Bausch & Lomb. But can you tell us a little bit more about why the timing is right now, and how you see that going forward? How's that going to look?
Sure, it's great to be thinking about and exciting to be thinking about. We have a 168-year-old company that's going to be reborn, and that's really exciting for us, because it's not just a reborn, it's really the opportunity that it opens up for us. We will bring to and the reason for the timing now is we had to clear some of the debt issues of the predecessor company, and we've been working at that for 5 years now, but we finally got to the point where we could do that, and we still got a little more to do, but sometime after the third quarter of this year, we can launch B&L, Bausch & Lomb, as a separate public company. It will be a pure play eye health business, and importantly, it'll bring the legacy of innovation and technology that's been a part of Bausch & Lomb for 168 years. But beyond that, we'll take that and focus on that for our strategic advantage for the future. And then we will have a very integrated eye health business. And what I mean by that is two things. Number one, we'll have the surgical business. We'll have the prescription portfolio of medications. We'll also have a global consumer business. And of course, we have our vision correction, our contact lens business. So having that full, diverse portfolio, we think is an important advantage for the future, especially as we see the market going forward. So now is the right time, we felt, to do this. Importantly, I'd love to have done it earlier, but one of the things that comes with the ability to take and focus on the Bausch & Lomb business as our business, we'll have significantly less debt. Our debt will be in a much better position, which then allows us to make better investments and more investments, research and development, clinical education. We've already talked about the ability to set up a clinical education teaching center for our business that we just haven't been able to do in the past. So there's things now that we can do. We clearly will continue to look to add to our portfolio. We now can be an acquirer of technology, and that will be an important part. We'll look to grow organically, which we have done in the past, but now also acquire technology. So look to us to be acquirer of technology in the future, and clearly we'll continue to build the team. Great team already, but continue to look for additional physician scientists to come join our team as we go forward. So we think now's the great time to do it, and look forward to getting it done sometime in after the third quarter of 2021.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing what that looks like in the future. So Warren, speaking about being an acquirer of things, J&J acquired AMO, and we were pretty excited to see what J&J was going to invest in the vision space. And I know you had LipiFlow. Maybe you regret that now. I don't know. No, just kidding. That's a lot of challenges around reimbursement. We can go there too. But what other things? I mean, do you have some big investments you're looking forward to in the eye care space that we haven't seen so far?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so the Tier Science LipiFlow acquisition, which, by the way, outside the U.S. continues to just grow gangbusters for us. There's some challenges with reimbursement inside the U.S. we're trying to work through, and so we'll take all the help we can get there. But we still have a great outlook for that business. We acquired that business around the same time that Johnson & Johnson acquired AMO. So a $4.3 billion bite in 2017, and then Tier Science on top of that. That was Johnson & Johnson's expression of commitment to eye health back then. And now you look at what's happening with Janssen and our pharmaceutical side and the back of the eye for Janssen Retina, lots and lots of asset acquisitions there to demonstrate further commitment to eye health. We have been on the surgical vision side investing massively in research and development. So even as things happen like COVID, which challenged top line sales, we continue to invest disproportionately in research and development. We've invested in supply chain resources and capabilities. I mentioned 3 launches. We're fortunate that we literally can't build product fast enough because we're having a lot of success. We're thrilled with that, but it's requiring massive infrastructure changes, supply chain, personnel hiring. So we've taken a tact of, in order for us to invest massively adjacently, we need to really take care of the 2 acquisitions that we made in 2017. Now I feel like for the last 18 months, as we've continued to deliver on those commitments, we've continued to improve our position in the marketplace, we're setting ourselves up nicely for some street credit, if you will, to be able to do more. So I would expect big things from vision overall at Johnson & Johnson in the future.
Yeah, you guys have all of you in some way have had to deal with big changes going on in each of the companies at a time when we're really separated from each other. So that's been a really tough thing to overcome. And I know that you all have different strategies of doing that and trying to keep stakeholders engaged. So I hope we have a little bit of time to talk about that. But first I want to ask you, Caren, you know, this past year we've seen an explosion in patients desiring refractive surgery outcomes. You talked a little bit about that too. And there's this balance between lens-based surgeries and cornea-based surgeries. And how are you going to position the company to take advantage of that so that we're looking more into the lens-based intraocular solutions?
Well, we've been very fortunate over the last 5 years to have partnered with some of the largest providers of refractive surgery around the world. And together we've explored what strategic cooperation really means. And so we believe we have a really strong methodology by which we work in new markets to talk about what is the right clinical answer and what is the really exceptional business model that makes the change happen. So we do around the world have varying degrees of adoption of lens-based versus cornea-based, really a mix in procedures very different than where it once was. For example, in China as a whole, it was just a few years ago that it was only a few percentage points of the mix of procedures was lens-based. And today in refractive, it's exceeding 20%. We have other markets exceeding 30%. We have surgeons who have, since EVO was introduced outside the US, they moved very aggressively so that their mix now is 70 or 80%, in some cases 100% lens-based instead of cornea-based. So what we're so excited about is that together with our surgeon partners, we've really created a really great business model. And so when we contract, whether it is a single surgeon practice or multiple facilities, we are able to really style a really exceptional partnership that then leads to really excellent patient results and strong profit motivation. So that's really our goal, and so we're expanding our sales and marketing organizations around the world. We're beefing up our R&D for new products that are already in the pipeline, as well as really investing in capital assets around IT and manufacturing so that we can, we hope, be that 50 or 60% of the total market in the years to come.
So you've all talked a little bit, we only have a few minutes left, about the fact that you're going to grow both organically and in R&D, but also with acquisitions. And a large part of what's going on here in these meetings is looking at new startup companies and early stage, new technology and developments. So if you had to say one thing to those companies about how they should approach you or what they should be thinking as they're trying to approach all of you to acquire them, what would your advice be? And what are you looking for with these new big markets that are coming out? Jag, go first.
Well, you're right. We are looking at all of them because the only way you grow your business is by looking at opportunities to meet unmet need. And you saw a number of examples today that are doing that. I think the one thing I would focus on, and it depends on who you're talking to in terms of whether it's a cash pay or a reimbursed, but it still comes down to, like, are you demonstrating value? And will someone pay for it, whether that's an individual or will a payer pay for it? That question is often left too late in the process. And the sooner you understand that question and articulate your data strategy that way, the better prepared you are to actually be successful in the marketplace. And FDA approval is achievable, very difficult, but achievable. Commercial success is a different thing. And I think that's the real focus of it.
Sustainable reimbursement pathway, right? Something that's going to pay for all the effort that went into the development.
Essentially comes down to data.
Yeah. Joe, quickly, if you could.
Yeah, my comment would be really, it's getting to one simple concept. It's the concept of efficiency, trying to make the offering more efficient to take care of the unmet medical needs. But let me give some specifics of what do I mean by that. To me, as we can make the data available through the cloud and make all data available so that you can, whether it's in the hospital, the physician's office, the surgical center, having that data availability and being able to migrate it and access it across the cloud, I think is probably what we're seeking to really do a better job of. And doing that, we think, makes it more efficient. And also, as we've looked at equipment that we are putting forth, is to try to make that, to make the footprint smaller so that you can move those devices into the physician's office, or things that we're looking at, all to get to this one area of what I would refer to as making healthcare more efficient, because we clearly know that's something that has to happen going forward in the future.
Warren, quick
I agreed
thoughts?
completely with the comments. Connect with us early and often. We love data updates. It's really helpful for us to see. Be transparent about that. Sometimes I think that not all data wants to be shown, but it really is important. And then I'll underscore what Jag said. The commercial model that could exist later, the 5 or 7 year models that are brought to us are fantastic, but trying to understand how it's really going to be adopted in the market from a market scope intelligence is really, really important, because we have to be able to help our customers treat patients, but also have a business model around it.
Yep, and Caren?
Yeah, we would be very interested, of course, in any new ideas and technology that actually improve the patient experience, but are also very simple to apply in the practice. And also, we would want you to approach us with the entire development of how the clinical model changes and how it definitely intersects with data, with artificial intelligence, and with a really improving business model, especially if it's a reimbursed product category.
Thank you all for your insights. This has been a really enlightening panel. It's a pleasure to be up here with all of you and to be here in person with all of you. And I want you to enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy.